This video is going to cover questions 7 and 8 on the Exam 1 review sheet. Alright, so the next 4 slides are going to go over graphing equations and graphing inequalities. And the first thing that we always need to make sure is that our equations are in the form y equals mx plus b. Remember, that's called slope-intercept form, because the m is the slope and the b is the y-intercept. Now when we graph, the first step is to plot the y-intercept. That's the first step. You find the y-intercept on the y-axis. Okay, the second step is to graph the slope. Okay, that's the m, that's the coefficient of x. And remember, we kind of call that the rise and the run. Alright, so the first one, if we look at it, 5x plus 3y equals 15. It is not in slope-intercept form. It's in what's called standard form. So we're going to write it down, 5x plus 3y equals 15. And we're going to isolate the y in order to get it into slope-intercept form. So the first step would be to move the 5x to the other side of the equation. So if we have a positive 5x on the left side of the equation, we would subtract 5x on both sides of the equation. And our equation would look as such. Negative 5x plus 15. Okay, now the next step would be to get rid of the 3. Now to get rid of the 3, we're going to be dividing all terms by 3. And we're left with negative 5 over 3x, there's our slope, plus 15 divided by 3 is 5. So 5 is our y-intercept. Alright, we plot the y-intercept first. That goes on the y-axis. So on the y-axis, we come all the way up here to where 5 would be. And our slope is negative 5 over 3. So we're going to count down 5. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, and we're going to run to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to put a point there. If you notice, our graph is falling from left to right. That's how we know we graphed it right. We have a negative slope. All right, let me erase our work over here to the right. And let's do the next one. Again, they did not give us the equation in slope-intercept form. So again, we're going to have to convert from standard form to slope-intercept form, which basically just means we're isolating the y. So since we have a negative 6x on the left side, when we move it to the right side, we would add it, which means it would become a positive 6x on the right side of the equation. And then again, we need to get rid of this coefficient of 3. So we're going to divide all of our terms by 3. Which leaves us with y equals 6 divided by 3, which is 2. There's our slope. And then 12 divided by 3 is 4. That's our y-intercept. Now remember, the slope is usually written as a fraction, a rise and a run. Since we have a whole number, we can always write that as a fraction 2 over 1. Alright, step 1. Plot the y-intercept. So we go to 4 on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. And we need a positive slope of 2 over 1, which means we would have to rise 2. That's going off of our graph if we rise 2 and run 1. But we could do it on the other side. We could go down 2 and over 1. That would give us the same result. And we draw the line in. So let's think about this again. Our y-intercept is at 4. We can double check that that is right. And our slope is positive, which means our graph should be increasing from left to right, which it is. All right, number 3. Finally, they gave us an equation that's already in y equals mx plus b form. So we just go ahead, we plot our y-intercept first, and we can see the y-intercept is at negative 5. So we go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We plot our point, and then we rise 1, and we run 2. There's our slope. Rise 1, 1, 2. It's always a good thing to double check. Our y-intercept is at negative 5. and our slope is positive. If we look at our graph and read it from left to right, it is increasing, which means we have a positive slope. All right, the next one is a simple equation, y equals 2. We have talked about this. That means we have a horizontal line that passes through 2 on the y-axis. So we go to 2 on our y-axis, and we graph a horizontal line. These are the easiest. And same with the next one. We have x equals -5. We know x equals a number is a vertical line with an undefined slope. So we go to -5 on the x-axis, which is way over here, and we draw our vertical line. All right, so now we've graphed equations, and we're going to move on to question 8, which asks us to graph inequalities. We're still going to follow these same steps that we did on the previous screen, but now we have new things that we need to think about. First, if we have just the less than or the greater than sign, we do a dashed line. Now, if we have less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, that's when you do the solid line. So if you say the word equal, when you read it, you need to use a solid line. All right, now if we have the less than symbols, we're going to shade below our line. And if we have greater than symbols, we'll shade above our line. Let me erase that so that's easier to read again. That's a very important little box for you to memorize for your test. All right, so the first one, great, is already in y equals mx plus b form. So we start with our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is at +5, which is way up here. We have a negative slope, so I'm going to go down 2. I'm going to go over 3 for my slope. Put another point. Okay, once you get your 2 points, you look at your symbol. First, we ask ourselves, should we do a solid line or should we graph a dashed line? And since we do not have an equal sign, we need to do a dashed line. Now, the symbol that's included in our inequality is less than. When we have less than, that means we shade below the line that we graphed. All right, the next one. Again, thank goodness, they gave us a equation that's already in y equals mx plus b form. So we can start with our y-intercept, which in this case is at -2. And then our slope is a +3, which remember we can write it as 3 over 1. So we rise 3 and we run 1. And we ensure that our graph looks like it has a positive slope. Now, look at your symbol. It has an equal sign, which means we do a solid line. So we're going to draw a solid line through those 2 points. Now our symbol says greater than or equal to. Greater than means we shade above our line. So here we are above this line, and that's where we do our shading. All right, the third inequality is not in y equals mx plus b form, so we need to isolate that y. Okay, in order to isolate it, we need to move the 3x from the left side of the equation to the right side of the equation. We would do that by subtracting 3x on both sides. So we have y is less than, we subtracted the 3x, and then we had a +1. Now we can graph our lines. Start with your y-intercept. That's a 1. And remember our slope, we can write it as a fraction, is -3 over 1. So we need to go down 3 and over 1, ensuring we're going the correct direction to make it look like a negative slope. Our graph is falling from left to right. Now we look at our symbol, less than, which means we need a dashed line. We don't have the equal sign, so we do a dashed line. Okay, we also see less than, which means we shade below our line. So I'm going to shade my graph on this side of the line. All right, on this next question, again, it was not given to us in slope-intercept form, so we need to isolate the y. First thing we need to do is move that negative 2x from the left side of the equation to the right side of the equation. If it's negative on the left, we would add it, and it would be positive on the right side of the equation. So we have 5y is less than or equal to positive 2x plus 10. Now we still need to divide each of our terms by a 5. So we can cancel those two 5s. Now we're left with 2 over 5x plus 10 divided by 5 is 2. So we start with our y-intercept. That's at a positive 2. So we go to 2 on the y-axis. And our slope is rise 2, run 5. So we rise 2 and we run 5. And we end right there on our graph. We look at our symbol to decide, do we need a dashed line or do we need a solid line? And you can see that we need a solid line. Okay, we look at our symbol again to see if we shade above the line or we shade below the line. And in this case, since it's less than, we shade below. Less than, below. That makes sense. All right, last one. Easy, easy. Just says y is greater than or equal to 3. So we go to 3 on the y-axis. We know that this one's going to be a horizontal line. It's solid because we have an equal sign. It says greater, so we shade above the line.